Welcome to my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness. And welcome to Quantum Consciousness and the Afterlife. Are we already beyond death? Are we already beyond death? What if death is not the end, but merely a transition into another form of existence? What if consciousness is not bound to the brain, but instead exists outside of space and time? Some of the most profound theories in quantum physics suggest that our awareness might be non-local, meaning it does not originate from the physical body, but instead exists independently of it. This could mean that what we perceive as life and death are simply different states of a greater interconnected consciousness. If this is true, then perhaps we have already transitioned beyond death and are simply unaware of it. The nature of consciousness, more than just neurons. Mainstream science often tells us that consciousness arises from the brain, a complex network of neurons firing in synchronized patterns to create our sense of self. However, despite advances in neuroscience, no one has been able to explain how the brain produces consciousness. This is known as the hard problem of consciousness, and it remains one of the greatest mysteries of modern science. Quantum physics, however, offers a radical alternative, that consciousness is not something generated by the brain, but something that exists beyond it. If true, this means that when the body dies, consciousness does not simply cease to exist. Instead, it could transition into another state, one that we are unable to perceive while trapped in our physical forms. The quantum mind hypothesis. Some physicists and neuroscientists believe that quantum mechanics plays a role in consciousness. One of the leading theories is the orchestrated objective reduction, OR theory, proposed by physicist Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff. This theory suggests that consciousness originates from quantum-level processes inside microtubules within brain cells. These quantum processes are not bound by space and time, meaning consciousness itself might be non-local. Upon death, the information that makes up consciousness does not disappear. It simply returns to the quantum field. This would mean that death is not the end of consciousness, but merely a shift in its state. The non-local nature of consciousness. If consciousness is not bound to the brain, then it must exist somewhere else. But where? 1. The quantum field, a cosmic consciousness. Quantum physics suggests that particles can be entangled across vast distances, meaning that they remain connected regardless of space and time. This phenomenon, known as quantum entanglement, suggests a deep, underlying unity to all things. If our consciousness operates in a similar way, existing as part of a larger quantum field, then the mind may not be confined to the body at all. Instead, it might be part of a greater universal consciousness that transcends time and space. 2. The holographic universe theory. Some physicists, including David Bohm, have proposed that reality itself is a hologram, a projection of deeper quantum information. If true, our individual consciousnesses could be fragments of a larger whole, like pixels in a vast cosmic simulation. Death, then, would simply be a shift from one part of the hologram to another. 3. Near-death experiences, NDEs, and quantum consciousness. One of the most intriguing pieces of evidence supporting the idea of a non-local consciousness comes from near-death experiences, NDEs. Thousands of people who have been declared clinically dead, but later revived, have reported similar experiences, including a sensation of leaving the body, moving through a tunnel toward a brilliant light, a feeling of overwhelming peace and interconnectedness, encounters with deceased loved ones or spiritual beings, a life review in which past experiences are vividly re-experienced. These reports are remarkably consistent across cultures and time periods. Could it be that NDEs are glimpses into what happens when consciousness transitions from the physical realm to another quantum state? Neuroscientists often argue that NDEs are merely the result of a dying brain experiencing hallucinations. But what if they are not just hallucinations? What if they are genuine experiences of a shift in consciousness to a higher plane of existence? Are we already dead and just don't know it?
What?
If consciousness exists outside of space and time, then it is possible that we are already in the afterlife and simply unaware of it. Consider this. Time, as we experience it, is an illusion according to many physicists. If consciousness is non-local, then past, present, and future might all be happening simultaneously. This could mean that we have already died, but our awareness remains tethered to the illusion of a linear, physical existence. Some Eastern spiritual traditions suggest that what we call life is actually a dreamlike illusion, Maya, and our true selves exist outside of it. In this view, death is nothing more than waking up from a temporary dream. This aligns strikingly well with the quantum view that our consciousness is part of something much greater and eternal. What happens next? If these theories are correct, then death is not something to be feared. It is simply a transition to another state of being. But what happens next depends on what consciousness itself is. Here are some possibilities. Consciousness reintegrates with the quantum field. Our individual consciousness may dissolve back into a greater whole, much like a drop of water returning to the ocean. Consciousness transitions to a parallel reality. If the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics is correct, death could simply be a shift into a parallel version of reality. Consciousness creates its own afterlife. If reality is shaped by perception, then what we experience after death could be determined by our own beliefs and expectations. This could explain why people of different faiths report different visions of the afterlife. A new perspective on life and death. The idea that consciousness is non-local and exists beyond the brain offers a radically different way of thinking about death. If true, then death is not an end, but merely a transition into another state of existence, one that we may have already entered without realizing it. Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not what happens after death, but whether we were ever truly alive in the way we think. If time is an illusion and consciousness transcends physical form, then what we call life may be just one chapter in an infinite cosmic story. So what if we have already transitioned? What if we are ghosts of a forgotten world, unaware that we have already passed through the veil? Maybe the real question isn't what happens after death, but rather, have we already moved beyond it? The emerging science. We are one consciousness. I would like to thank you for joining me here today on my channel, Enlightenment in the Darkness. Please comment below any thoughts or feelings you may have about this premise of quantum consciousness and the afterlife. Inquiring minds would like to know. Please like and subscribe to my channel so I may continue to bring you more enlightenment in the darkness. Many blessings to the rest of your day.